it there, people. Sun 752. This your daily go-getterism number 937 for April 27th, 2017. Today is the 26th. And this is 936. Yeah, all right. So today I want to talk to you all about situational power tripping. Situational power tripping. In other words, some people, when they get in certain positions of authority, or when they're in charge, when they are chosen to be the leader, or if they work themselves up to that, they can start tripping. They can start being overbearing. They can start being abusive. They can start teasing people. They can start ridiculing people, putting people down. Some people are just not built to be in positions of authority because they have a tendency to abuse that authority, because they misrepresent what the authority is supposed to represent. They think that being in charge means that it puts them on a higher plane than other people. No, being in charge, being a leader is about representing ideas, views, and the direction of a particular ideology. In other words, you take other people's ideas into consideration and you lead them in the direction that you're all supposed to be going into. Going towards, because that's where you want to go. But not everybody feels that way. It starts at a young age. It can. It may start in the home when you're the oldest brother or oldest sister, the oldest sibling, and you figure like, look, these youngins be getting on my nerves. Mommy or daddy, or mommy and daddy told me that I'm in charge of them and they better do what I say, or it's gonna be problems when they get home. So you don't want to get your ass whooped when mommy and daddy come home. You better make sure that you follow the rules. Now that seems innocent enough as long as you are representing the real authority, who in this case would be the mother and the father. Does it always work that way though? A lot of times the oldest brother and sister took the opportunity to hog the TV, watch only the TV shows that they want to watch. This was back in the day when everybody didn't have a TV in their room, when there wasn't a such thing as a color TV. You know, nowadays we don't even know what a color TV is. We don't know what any other kind of TV is. But yeah, there was a time when everybody had to watch a common TV. And when the parents weren't there, when the parents were there, then you watched whatever the parents wanted to watch, unless they took the children's shows into consideration and watched that. Other than that, when the parents weren't around, then children govern each other. And normally the head of the governing agency was the oldest brother or sister. So what did they do? They said, yo, you gonna watch what I want. You gonna watch what I wanna watch. Y'all gonna eat what I feed y'all. So you ain't just gonna be going in the refrigerator eating everything you wanna eat. You're gonna eat what I say eat. And I'm gonna have a big piece of everything. I'm gonna have the better pieces of everything that we do. Everything that we do, I'm gonna have the lion's share of it. See, that's abuse of power. And even though we may have submitted to that, it doesn't mean that we didn't resent that. And it doesn't mean that that's the way it went for the rest of our lives. It just happened until we either got big enough to be able to beat them, or when the situation changed and maybe they moved out, or whatever the case may be. A lot of it had to do with how much older you were than the others. Well, how much older they were than the other siblings. So it started. A lot of it started in the home. And we have to deal with this kind of stuff at work. Somebody becomes a supervisor from being an associated. I'm sorry. Maybe they become a team leader from being an associate or a supervisor or some type of leadership, authoritative position, and then they get drunk with power. It doesn't happen to all of them, but it happens enough times for it to, if you let it get to you, it may give you a total resentment for authority. Police officers, the cops. Some people who are cops shouldn't be cops. You know it. Want to pull people over, check their cars, pat them down, totally violate your civil rights, your human rights. They kill people, for not doing what they want them to do. And from what I understand, a lot of police officers act that way in a home. Some of them are little pussy cats at home because then, whoever is at home is the real boss. So they act a certain kind of way when they're at work. A lot of people do that. Now, there are a lot of people who are a different way at work because they have a little position or something like that. They're different at home than they are at work. Politicians. You know how politicians abuse their authority. They abuse their position. They just abuse corruption, stealing money, sex, stealing money, sex, stealing money. That's what people who abuse their positions do. But they only do that in certain positions when they get into a position of authority. Other than that, a lot of them are cool, real cool. I'm not just talking about police officers, but politicians, big brothers and sisters. And shout out to my oldest sister. She wasn't a bear. She wasn't bad like that. But she had her moments. I remember that TV. That's why we had to watch Star Trek, and that's why I don't like Star Trek now. It was a bullshit show, garbage. I don't want to watch this. It was corny. Flash Gordon, all that sci-fi stuff, but it's all good. But anyway, some people just shouldn't be in positions of authority because they just don't know how to use their authority. They don't know how to incorporate other people's opinions, ideas, and feelings into the whole scope of the leadership position. And that oftentimes gets them put out of the leadership position, or anarchy goes down. Mutiny, anarchy, rebellion. Because you're not going to let somebody just abuse you just because they hold a title or something like that. And if you abuse the wrong person, something physically bad can happen to you. You don't want that. Don't nobody want that. Don't nobody want to see that. So you got to be careful. So for my people out there, look, I've been in positions of leadership, probably every job that I've ever had, but I'm sure not to abuse my position. If you know anybody who's ever worked under me, they'll tell you, nah, I wouldn't say that about it. You know what I'm saying? If anything, I'll just do my thing. I ain't going to. Anyway, it is what it is. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind. And anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours. And remember, everybody shouldn't be in a position of authority because everybody can't handle positions of authority. But the ones who do, they normally have an agenda. And you have to watch out for the agenda that they have because that agenda may go against whatever it is that you're trying to do. And it can get you all jammed up and messed up and angry and sometimes fired or cut off, put out of places, have resentment, all crazy, people not liking you, hating you, slashing your tires, putting salt or sugar in your gas tank, that kind of stuff. People do that to people when they feel like they've been abused. It's true. So anyway, I'll holler at y'all later. Urban Therapy with Sun Show is tonight, 6 p.m. It's about, I ain't even gonna go into that. Anyway, listen to the archive because this video probably won't be up in time, but listen to the archive of the Urban Therapy with Sun Show. We're talking about weaning yourself off of them. Weaning yourself off of them. When your heart wants to stay, but your mind knows that it's time to go. Y'all may have already been separated. But just because you separate yourself from somebody physically or something physically, it doesn't mean that you have separated yourself from them emotionally, because the heart ain't gonna lie to you. It wants what it wants. And unfortunately, that's the truth. 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Urban Therapy with Sun Show. Call in number 319-527-6199. blogtalkradio.com/sun752. Peace. And if you don't catch this show live, I would love for y'all to catch it live, but if you don't catch this show live, make sure that you check out the archives. Just go to blogtalkradio.com/sun752. /Sun7. That's SUN 752. And you can see all of the episodes. We on every day, but the Urban Therapy with Sun show is only on Wednesdays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So get with that, all right?